There's one. Get the net. That's a big fish. Oh, that's a good one. Come on, get the net. That's a fish, Kyler. That's a good fish. Oh, man. Oh, that one did not feel that big, Kyler. Yeah! Boom, baby! Yeah! Yeah! Woo! Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about trout pit, and I'm going to do a breakdown of trout pit here in the Mineland Wildlife Area in southeast Kansas. This is one of the most well-known pits out here in the Mineland Wildlife Area because it is stocked with trout thanks to our Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks here in Kansas. They stock this pit. It is the only pit stocked with trout, and they stock it every winter with both rainbow and brown trout, I do believe, and this is the only pit with trout in it. I have waited so long to do this video because I spent this past year fishing in trout pit, had never only really fished it once before this year, and I fished it 3 times this year to get a better idea of where the better areas were and what all cover was to offer in trout pit so I could give you guys a better breakdown of the pit. Okay, so let's jump into it here. Before we jump into it, though, if you're new to the channel and have not seen any of my videos and you're not a subscriber, if you would, hit the subscribe button. Helps build the channel. Any comments helps. You guys got any questions about anything, just comment and I'll get back with you. Now, moving forward here into trout pit breakdown. Trout pit it's located a half a mile west of 100th on, or a half a mile west of Northwest 100th on Northwest Lawton. The boat ramp and parking are very nice here at Trout Pit. It also has, I believe, bathroom facilities. The ramp is a concrete ramp, and it's great for all size boats, small boats, big boats. All boats will get in there. I will tell you, when you do dock in there, be sure to stay over towards the side on the ramp that's towards the dock. The ramp kind of goes in an awkward angle, and a lot of guys I've seen put in, and they don't stay to that side. They kind of go off the ramp a little bit if you get too far away from the dock side there to it. The parking is very nice there. Lots of parking. And it also, unlike any other pit out here in the pits, it has a dock to tie up to, which makes it nice when unloading and loading your boat. It's really accessible. It makes it very nice. You don't have to find an area to put your boat up on and jump out in the mud. So that is awesome about this pit as well. There is also cabins out here you can rent that are right on the pit. I'm not exactly sure how you go about renting those or what the price of them are, but you can look into that. Just Google it up and you'll find it. Now, for everybody watching that does not know what I'm talking about here, when I'm talking about a pit breakdown in trout pit, the pits out here is the Mineland Wildlife Area. I have a video that kind of breaks down exactly what the Mineland Wildlife Area is and what it is to offer, how it started, all the pits that are out here, what Kansas Wildlife and Parks did to create this great fishery out here. It was from old mining. I won't get into all that right now. That's all in the other video. So everybody tuning in, that's kind of just a simple breakdown of what I'm talking about here. And trout pit is number 30 on the map. When you get a map, you'll see it on there. It's number 30, and it also says, pretty sure it says trout pit right on there. Now, it is also a great pit for big bass. It's one of the most well-known pits, and it's talked about as big bass because they feed on these trout. These trout make great food for these bass. There's a lot of talk from locals saying that this is very possibly where the next Kansas State record bass will come from. I personally myself have not seen any of that big in there, but that is what I have been told. From what I've fished in there, I've caught a lot of quality bass in there. No giants, but there's been a lot of quality bass, 15 to 20 inches long, that I've seen caught out of there and caught out of there myself. My biggest bass is just under 4 pounds. It was almost 4 pounds. It was 3 pounds, 13 ounces, or 3 pounds, 15 ounces. And I averaged 6.75 bass per trip in there. And every 9 of these fish is over 3 pounds or bigger. So that is a very high average for a lot of the pits. Now, trout pit, at first glance, it can be very intimidating because of its very clear water. It is very clear in there, ranging down to, I think, water clarity of around 15 foot or so, usually average of 10 to 15 foot. And it doesn't offer a lot of shallow water. Most of it just drops off quickly from the bank into the deep water. It does have a few key shallow areas, though, and it also offers a lot of shallow brush and laydown. So in the springtime, that's going to give you a lot of areas to fish and the bass a lot of areas to spawn on. And actually, when I was writing this to start off with, after I got to going through it and breaking it down a little more, since I've learned a lot about it, there's actually a lot more to it than what I thought there was that you can fish in there. It just seems kind of simple to me, I guess, because I've done it a few times. So, like I said, it's where it's located at, going through all my notes here. So now let's jump into the first picture here and how I'm going to break this down. So how I'm going to break this down, the first picture here is going to be 4 areas. The white at the top, that is going to be the dock. That's the dock that I was talking about that you can dock up to when unloading and loading your boat. The orange with the R, that's the ramp right there. The purple circle, that's the cabins. And the red, this is the first area, in the area with the ramp in it and the cove heading back to the east. That's going to be the first area I'm going to talk about. Then the second area I'm going to talk about is the green section. That is the center section of the pit. And then the yellow, that is the third area. And that's actually going to be the last area I'm going to talk about. And that's the cove back to the west. And then the blue, that's going to be the third area I'm going to talk about. And that is the far south section. Now, I've mainly fished trout pit in the colder water and in the fall. I've been in there twice in the summer. The first time was, about 12 years ago. And then also this year I was there in the summer during a big rainstorm. So it was kind of, didn't really give me a whole lot about what the bass were doing exactly. Now, my number 1 bait recommendations in here from what I've seen is a jig. And not just a jig like you see in my other videos about the slower falling jig, but a heavier jig. Go with the smaller profile jig in here seems to be the best for me. I like to throw a Zoom Z-Crawl trailer on it. And I've done best, like I was saying, with the heavier jigs, a 3/8 ounce up to a 3/4 ounce. And that's because it's so clear in here, and you want the faster fall in here so the bass can't get a good look at it to exactly see what it is, and you get more reaction strikes out of that. The slower fall in here does not work as well because of the water clarity in here. Now, color-wise, I've done best with darker green pumpkin colors. 2K Jigs has a color called Fall Crawl that has worked best for me with the green pumpkin Zoom Z-Crawl trailer. Number 2, if you guys watch my videos, I love a jerkbait. Number 2 is a jerkbait. And I've done great in here with the Mega Bass Vision 110 in a Pro Blue color. And then also the Berkley Stunna is also another good one. The Berkley Stunna +1, I like throwing it more. I rotate it back and forth with the 110, not the 110 +1, but just a 110. And then the Stunner +1, I throw it in there for the deeper fish. And I throw that, the Berkley Stunna, mostly in shad fillet as a color to go to. The Pro Blue and the shad fillet, both those colors seem to go, if they're not biting one, they're biting the other, and vice versa. From what I've seen from a few times out there with the front-facing sonar and my electronics, I haven't seen a lot of shad out there in trout pit, which kind of surprised me. Maybe they were just out there deeper. I didn't really graph out there in the deeper water to see if they were out there, but I didn't see any up there in that under 20-foot range. So my guess is they eat mostly on trout, so I would stick with trout colors. Even if you go out there with a jerkbait or a glide bait, throw those in shad or the trout colors and see if you can get anything on the trout colors. I haven't played around a whole lot with that in the trout colors. Was going to do that this winter until I just broke my hand here at the start of December, so that kind of put a fault on that and can't get out there and do that. Number 3 would be stick worms and straight tail worms. The stick worms, rig them weightless. I mean. That's basically like your Cincos. rig those weightless, and then a straight tail worms, like your trick worms, your finesse worms, things of that nature. Rig those Nico style or on a shaky head, and green pumpkin and watermelon colors have worked best for me in there in the worms. Ribbon tail worms, I have not been bit on the ribbon tail worms in there. The 4 times I've been in there, I haven't caught anything on any ribbon tail worms at all. 10-inch ribbon tail worms, big hammer ringer worm in the 4-inch, nothing on it, nothing on a 7-inch power worm. I'm not sure, maybe just the days I was in there, they wasn't biting the ribbon tail worms, but just hadn't been good for me in there with the ribbon tail worms. Number 4 is a swim bait. I would prefer myself, I'm not a big swim bait guy. I like big swim baits, but I like smaller swim baits. So I like to throw a 3.5 or a 3-inch big hammer lures, and I would throw it in a trout color in there. I would throw it on a 1/2 ounce or a 3/4 ounce head, or an underspin. Go with the heavier as well to get down deeper. Also, don't rule out the 2-inch big hammer swim bait. I actually have a video on that if you want to go look that up on my YouTube channel about the 2-inch big hammer swim bait in trout color. And I really wanted to try that out this winter right when they stocked it here. They just stocked it, and I wish I could get out there and go try that out right now, because all those small trout and that 2-inch swim bait is just like those small little trout. And I rig it on a Ned head in 1/4 ounce, and it works great. I've noticed throughout this year, I throw that on a 2K Jigs 1/4 ounce finesse head, and I've noticed throughout this year, though, once that water temp gets over 60 degrees, they don't seem to bite that as well, so it seems to be a colder water thing. I don't know if it's the quicker fall, what's going on with that, but after the water got above 60 degrees this year, that bite was on fire before it got over 60 degrees out here in the pits, and then it just died off once it got over 60 degrees. So it must be, I don't know if it's a spring thing or if it's a cold water thing. I'll have to get out in the fall more and try it once those water temps dip down in the fall, but I definitely know it's a winter and spring technique for sure out here in the pits that works really well. Now, the red, the first section here we're going to talk about, like I said, is the red section. The 3 red areas are the best areas I've caught the bass in this section. Number 1, red. This bank has been the most productive for me in this area. It has a point highlighted in yellow. And in the 2 Columbus Bass Club events I've fished in Trout Pit, there has been a lot of bass caught from this point. I haven't caught one directly from this point. I think I did get one little one, and then around the point there, back to the east, I caught one there in a tournament. But a lot of the other guys have done good fishing there, and there's been a lot of fish caught off of that point. This bank has a little bit of submerged grass and laydowns once you come around back to the east on it. That's shown with the red dots, the laydowns down through there. I've done best with the jerkbait here, and like I said, with the Megabass 110 and the Berkeley Stunna. Now, the number 2 red is my second favorite spot in this section, and it's my favorite second spot because it has little grass except where the green is in that small pocket here. But I've done mostly good here because of the laydowns up on the bank, and then there's brush off of the bank here. My best bait here has been the 2K Jigs Water Rover Candy. There's also a 2K Jigs Dock Monkey Candy that's similar, and a Red Zone Candy that's similar as well. And I do, like I said, best at a 3/8 ounce up to the 3/4 ounce here with that faster fall. I already went through that with the being so clear why to throw those heavier jigs. Now, the number 3 red, I personally haven't done any good here, but in the tournaments here, there's been a lot of bass caught here. There was a 20-incher, I believe, caught here. I don't know if it was a 20-incher. I think even the big bass of the last tournament we held in there was caught right here. It makes it so good because there is good shallow brush where the red dots are up there, mixed in with grass that's highlighted in the green, and that's what makes it so productive. And then there is also chunk rock on this bank highlighted in the blue. Jigs here, weightless or the light-weighted Texas rig worms have been the best, or that Nico style rig I was talking about. There are 2 points in the area here. My notes went away from me here. The 2 points are highlighted in the area here. Number one is the most productive point and possibly the best point in the entire pit. Number 2 point is shallower and more rounded. I haven't caught anything here or seen anything caught here, but it is a very good looking point to me, and it looks like there should be more fish on it. I fished it a lot, but have not been bit there for some reason. Now, the green is all the grass and grass beds in this section. My favorite grass bed in this section is the 2 in the very back of the cove to the east. Both of these grass beds come out into submerged points. So fan casting this area, I do know one of the guys in one of the tournaments that got second stayed back in there in this area and was fishing. I'm not exactly sure where he was, but he was fishing around this area. So I would say he probably caught him right off these grass beds back in there. I would recommend fan casting in this area where those 2 points kind of come out there together, fan casting around and fishing up in that grass. Jerk baits and swim baits in the colder water, Arky style, lighter jigs, like the 2K jigs, Little Punk. Like I said, I haven't been in there. Maybe when I was in there, they was wanting the faster fall, but it seems like the heavier jigs work better in there. But when you get up in the grass, the heavier jigs don't come through that grass as well. Then your weightless worms, like I said, the ribbon-tail worms, they should work in there. And most of the pits, they work up there in that grass. But in Trout Pit with me, the ribbon-tail worms have not been a thing. Now, the red dots you're going to see throughout all the pictures here, the red dots are just laydowns that are along the bank. These are not the exact locations of these laydowns. These are just showing how many laydowns. That there's a whole bunch of them, pretty much around the whole entire pit there. There's laydowns up in there in the shallow water around it all. Now, lastly in this area is the orange. This area, I'm not 100% sure if it's accessible. When I've been in there this year, the water has been low, so it was not accessible, but when the water's up, it appears on Google Earth here that it is accessible. If you look at the blue there, there's a shallow little canal that appears to connect the two. So if you're in a smaller boat, pretty sure even if the water's up, unless it's way up there, you're not going to be able to get in there with a bass boat or a bigger boat, but you should be able to get in there with a john boat or a kayak or a scamp if the water is up. Now let's jump into the second area here. The green area, for the most part, is the area with the least good bass fishing spots. For me, anyway. There has been some good productive area in there, but just really one real big productive area. So here, the red is the only bank I've done any good on here. It has been very productive stretch, though. This past November, I caught my biggest bass from Trout Pit, just under 4 pounds, just south of the grass flat, highlighted in the green. I was using a 1/2 ounce 2K jigs Water Rover Candy, and I caught 2 bass there and missed one on the jig. Then I caught 2 on the grass flat with the Berkeley stunted jerkbait. And then, as you can see there again, the red dots, that are the laydowns on the banks. And like I said, that grass flat is really just back south of that grass flat there where I told you I caught that big one on the jigs. On those laydowns up in there, that's a really good productive area. And then also that grass flat has a lot of fish on it as well. They seem to really stage up there really well, the bass do, and school up together. Now to the third area, the blue area. The blue area is my second favorite area of Trout Pit. Red are my top 2 banks in this area. The number 1 red has some big tree laydowns, and you'll see those highlighted here in yellow. The one further south with the yellow T actually has a full tree submerged out in front of the laydown that's coming off the bank. It's a big laydown coming off the bank. It's basically a whole tree fell over in the water right there. And then outside of that, it's about 10 foot or so in front of that tree is an actual tree out in the water. I don't know if it's a laydown tree or what, but I can see it on the front-facing sonar out there in my electronics. And it's out there, so be sure to pick that all apart very well. And pick both of these laydowns apart, and pick them apart shallow to deep, depending on what time of the year, what type of bait you use. A jig is a must go to all year from what I've seen in Trout Pit. 2K jigs, Little Punk, like I've always said in my videos, 3/16 ounce or 5/16 ounce. And then the 2K jigs, finesse jigs, the 3/8 ounce up to the 3/4 ounce works better in this clearer water. They're called 2K jigs Candy series, which is the 2K jigs Dock Monkey Candy 2K Jigs Water Rover Candy, and a 2K Jigs Red Zone Candy. The 2K Jig Dock Monkey Candy is a flippin' style head. The 2K Jigs Water Rover Candy is a flippin' style swim jig style head. And then the 2K Jigs Red Zone Candy is a football head style. And next is Texas Rig Crawls. Try these around this tree, and Texas Rig Creature Baits. Then I actually caught, it was the second or third biggest bass of one of the tournaments there over the summer, Most Fish Counts event in Columbus Bass Club. And I caught it on a weightless Cinco there off, I don't remember if it was the big tree or the tree to the north of that one there. And I caught it on a weightless Cinco. It was watermelon. I can't remember the exact color I was throwing. But throw the Cinco's weightless. Throw a Nico style rig with your flat tail worms and the weightless Cinco style worms as well, and your straight tail worms. And then when it gets cooler, throw your jerk baits and swim baits, especially out in front of these trees with those fish sitting out there waiting to ambush any waiting to eat anything out there or sitting outside of that cover. Now, the number 2 red area is also very effective. It offers more shallow water with shallow laydowns. The 2 green areas are grass flats right there, and the red, again, is laydown spread along the blank, and then the blue is a fish feeder. If you've heard from a lot of guys, I've heard this my whole life, that back there by the fish feeder and trout pit is the number 1 spot in trout pit, and it is very effective. Now, with this fish feeder, I'm not exactly sure if it's set up on a timer or when they feed the fish or how it works. I'm pretty sure it's there for the trout. Not exactly sure. Just wanted to kind of highlight that in the video there to show you where the feeder is, so if you ever hear anybody talking about that feeder. Now, yellow, the 4th area is my favorite area trout pit here, guys. This is my favorite area. Red are my 2 favorite banks in this area. Red number 1 is my favorite bank in the entire pit. It is my favorite because of the 2 submerged grass points that you can see there, number 1 and number 2. Number 1 green is my favorite grass patch in the pit. I've caught my 2 best fish here, and it has been very reliable. My 2 best fish besides the one just under 4 pounds. So it would be 2 of my biggest 3 have came from here. The same with the number 2 grass flat off that point. It is also very productive. I've done my best here on these areas with a Mega Bass Vision 110 and a Berkeley Stunna in the colors I talked about before, mainly because I've been here when the water is cooler. Red, number 2 spot here that I like to fish, has been very consistent for me every time I've been in there. It has some good laydowns. Now, it hasn't produced any big fish, but it has always had fish on it and produced fish. Now, the number 3 area is a good-sized grass hump, and it's surrounded by deep water. It's a hump out there, right out there in the middle of that little pocket. I've only caught small bass here from it, but it just, to me, feels and looks like it would be a great area to catch bass in the pre-spawn and early spring, and then also the post-spawn when they move back out there. The same with the grass flats back to the west or to the left right there of the grass hump. I feel like that's a very productive area. When I was back there in March, that hump I could see a lot of fish on it with the front-facing sonar, but a lot of them were just smaller bass. I don't know if that was the time of the year right there in the fall transition or what was going on, but it had a lot of fish, and there's a lot of fish in that area. Lastly is the number 4 grass point highlighted in green. This point here, it is very deep and drops off very quickly, but there is grass right on that point there. And I have caught fish here, and I feel it's an area that has much more to offer, but I just haven't been able to get any good bites off of it or many bass. So hopefully this helps you guys and gives you some more confidence in trout pit, and hopefully it helps you guys understand more about trout pit before you guys go in there if you guys are looking to go fish in there. And if you got any questions, just holler at me, and I look forward to hearing back from you guys, and glad to do another video for you guys and break down trout pit. I'm going to try to get some more out here. Since I got my hand broke, try to get some more videos going for you guys over the pits here, trying to do my lake series stuff as well. So it's trying to mix it all in and keep it all going and very time consuming. But I enjoy doing it all, and I appreciate everybody that subscribed to the channel. I appreciate everybody that follows it, and I appreciate all the positive feedback I've heard back from y'all. Thank you, guys. That's a fish, Kyler. That's a good fish. Just get your pole in, Kyler. Don't worry about that. That's a good one, Kyler. Come on, baby. Come on, come on, come on. Come on now. Come on. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Woo, I'm gonna have a heart attack up here, Kyler. Come on. Woo, boy. I'm gonna go cardiac arrest up here. Don't jump. Don't jump. Come on. Oh gosh. Don't hit the line. Get him, Kyler, get him, get him. Yeah! Oh God. That's a big fish. Not big fish, but that's a 3.5, 4. Oh, you damn thing. You ain't that big. Come on. I fight them like they're giant. Oh, beautiful. Hopefully I got that on GoPro. Stupid Cincos. Surprised I got him out of that tree. He wasn't going nowhere. I didn't even hook him very good. He hooked himself into that tree. Well, I got getting confidence in the Cinco, so that's good. All the poles are screwing up. There's one, Kyler. That's a good one, Kyler. That's a good one. That's a good fish. I don't know how big it is, but it's a good fish. Yeah! Yeah, baby! Woo! I'm back in business. Get the blood flowing. There we go. Yeah! Give me some blood, baby! What? There, I don't know. Fighting like a big one. Fighting like a decent one anyway. I only got one on the jerkbait. Not a big one, but it's a good one. Not as big as what I thought it was, but big enough anyway. How big's that one? Oh. go. And what a rover. Candy. That would have been a good keeper last weekend. It's another good fish. Can't really see it too well down there, but it's fighting hard. I got a foul hooked. I got a foul hook too, and it's a good one. There we go. A decent one anyway. Another keeper.